Hello and welcome back to Soul Search Sunday with Johnny Tiger. The date is January 11th, 2026. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about a crime that happened in China back in 2017. Now, this is not one of those channels that talk about cases and serial killers and murders and stuff like that. So, definitely not going to make a habit of it. The reason we are going to talk about this case is because it's real, it's relatively recent, and it beautifully illustrates what I talked about in one of our past episodes. The episode that I'm referring to is called "Don't Fight Idiocy with Idiocy." Uh, I think that was 2025, somewhere around October, that I did that episode. And in that episode, I talked about sometimes when you're dealing with someone who's clearly got their mind set to be an idiot, it's okay to back down. It's okay to walk away because when you fight idiocy with idiocy, bad things can happen, such as in this case that I'm going to refer to today. In 2017, in Wuhan, China. Now, some of you will say, how come I feel like I heard that name before? Well, because Wuhan, China is where they said COVID came from when COVID first started. So Wuhan definitely got a lot of negative publicity in this case. Unfortunately, we are going to add another negative publicity to Wuhan when we talk about the case that happened in 2017. In 2017, on February 18, just after Chinese New Year, in Wuhan, China, outside the Wuchang train station, in broad daylight, in front of hundreds, maybe thousands of witnesses, an owner of a small roadside noodle restaurant was attacked and his head was chopped off and thrown into the trash can in front of everybody. Okay, just imagine how traumatizing this was for all the people that witnessed the murder. And this owner of the noodle shop, his name is Yao. Okay, Mr. Yao, we'll just call him Mr. Yao, was a divorced father of a 12-year-old son who was left an orphan after that day. Mr. Yao was 42 years old. He spent 10 years working in a coal mine in China to pay off some debts for his parents because his parents got sick and they ended up with a massive medical bill. And Yao had to work in a coal mine to make enough money to pay off the debt. And he worked as a coal miner for 10 years before finally pay off the debt for his parents. And then because his wife left him, so he finally saved enough money and bought himself a little storefront, or rented himself a little storefront anyway, and opened his own noodle shop. His noodle shop was just a one-man show. He's the cashier. He was the owner, manager, chef. He did everything. Um, every day he would be at the shop opening up at 7 in the morning, and he wouldn't be done until almost midnight, and he would go home and sleep, and during all that had to take care of his 12-year-old son. Okay, I'm giving you guys a little bit of the background because this is not like a guy who got into drugs or gangs or anything like that. He's a hardworking single dad doing the best he could. And as a what did he get in the end? He got his head chopped off by a random stranger in broad daylight. Now let's walk through this event in more details, so we have a clear picture of what happened from beginning to end. Luckily, this case was so atrocious and so famous that it got a lot of publicity. Even I myself uh, uh, remember hearing about it from a lot of my Chinese and Taiwanese friends, but I didn't know any of the details at that time, and I didn't pay much attention at the time, which was okay. Oh, wow, that's horrible, But just some random murder happened in China in a city that I have no connection with, so I didn't pay it much mind until recently when I came across this case again, and I looked at the case closer and got more details. So, February 18th, just after Chinese New Year, that morning, Mr. Yao, as usual, opened his noodle shop because he was one of the very few restaurants that was open. Most of the other restaurants that were doing much better than he was stayed closed for the New Year's holiday. So he was expecting a lot of customers and making a bit of extra money. So he got to his restaurant nice and early, cleaned up, sharpened all the knives in the kitchen so he could uh, have an easier time chopping the vegetables, meat, and so on and so on. And true to his prediction, people started coming in for noodles even before 11 o'clock. Somewhere around the just after 12, three people walked into his restaurant, and these three people were very obviously not locals. For one, they were wearing very thin, almost summer clothes. Now, this time of the year in February in Wuhan, it was really, really cold, pretty much like Canadian winter. So most of the local people were dressed in layers and thick jackets and feather down jacket and at least like a heavy coat and so on. So when these three young men walked into the restaurant, everyone knew that they were not local. Like I mentioned, the noodle shop was right next to the Wuchang train station, which means Yao was used to seeing people from other cities coming and going. So he didn't make much of it. He went out to them and talked to them and asked, "Hey, what would you guys like to eat?" And all three of them pointed at the cheapest item on the menu, which was the $4 noodle special. Okay, like I'm going to interrupt myself here and so we have time to process this. $4 noodle special. Where can we get that here in North America? Like if I hear $12 noodle special, I would be very happy. To put it into perspective for you guys, $4 Chinese money in 2017, that's not even $1 Canadian. Okay, we are talking about like 50 cents, like maybe 40 cents noodle special. Okay, so that's really, really, really cheap. So okay, the three young people ordered the $4 noodle special for one each. So Mr. Yao took their order, went back to the kitchen and started cooking. During this time, according to the bystander, one of these young men, a very small and skinny individual, the smallest of the three, followed Mr. Yao into the kitchen and seemingly had an argument with him, but no one knew at the time what they were arguing about. People saw Mr. Yao emphatically shook his head and then shooed the young man out of his kitchen. No one made much anything of it. Everyone just busy eating their food, paying the bill, waiting for their order. And pretty soon, the three $4 noodle specials came out, and the young men started eating their food. Shortly afterward, they called Mr. Yao and say, "We're ready to pay our bill." Now, Mr. Yao came out of the kitchen, leaving his vegetables and meat and kitchen knife and uh, cutting board, everything laying on the kitchen counter. As I mentioned, he's a one-man show. Mr. Yao is the chef and owner and manager and cashier. So he came out, and the three young people, uh, each one handed him $4, because they ordered three $4 noodle specials. And Mr. Yao shook his head and he said, "Oh no, no, sorry, it's actually $5 each. So you guys need to give me $3 more." The young man looked at the menu, confirmed that the menu did say $4 noodle special. They looked back at Mr. Yao and they said, "No, that's not what your menu said. Your menu said $4." And Mr. Yao said, "Well, it's $5 today. I haven't gotten around to change the menu, but I'm sorry, it's $5 today." And this really pissed off the three young men because obviously they were from a different part of China. They were not local, so they believed that they were being prejudiced against because they were not local. They believed that Mr. Yao wanted to overcharge them because they were not local. So they started arguing with Mr. Yao. uh, Out of the three of them, the one that argued the most fierce with Mr. Yao was the young man, the skinny little guy that went into the kitchen earlier to talk to him. This young man, by the name of Hu, I'm not even being funny, that really was his last name. So, Mr. Hu started arguing really, really fiercely about how the menu said $4 and that's all you're going to get. I'm not going to give you another dollar. It's wrong that you prejudice against us. And Mr. Yao tried to explain to them, no, I'm not prejudiced. I'm not being prejudiced against you guys. It's it's customary that around Chinese New Year, because of operating cost, all the restaurants have their prices go up by $1 or $2. I'm just doing what is normal. I'm sorry. I just forgot to change that $4 thing on the menu, but like really it is $5. The young man wouldn't have any of it. So after a bit of fierce and heated back and forth, suddenly, for no reason whatsoever, Mr. Hu, the skinny little guy, suddenly lunged at Mr. Yao, trying to punch him in the face. Mr. Yao, uh, as I mentioned, used to work in a coal mine. But just for those of you who have no idea, don't ever get into a fight with a miner. Okay, miners like lumberjacks, they're like really really strong. Now Mr. Yao easily blocked Mr. Hu's punch to his face, and in a fit of anger, he grabbed Mr. Hu and choked slammed him up against the wall. But then the two other young men got involved, and then they started to pulling them apart and trying to stop the fight. And obviously, Mr. Yao, being the owner of the restaurant, didn't want to make a mountain out of a molehill. So he let go of Mr. Hu, and he said, "Look, why don't you guys just pay for what you've eaten? Just pay for the food and get the f out of my store." To his surprise, he thought the fight was over, but as soon as he let go, Mr. Hu lunged at him again and tried to attack him again. And this time, Mr. Yao was really mad. What the hell? I let go of you, and you want to continue the fight? So he smacked Hu across the face and grabbed him by the neck again and choke slammed him up against the same bloody wall. Like I said, Mr. Yao was immensely strong, being a former miner. So once he got a hold of Hu's neck, this young man, despite being 20 years younger, Mr. Yao was 42 years old. Mr. Hu was only 22 years old. Despite being 20 years younger, had no way of fighting back. He couldn't match Mr. Yao's strength, and he was starting to turn purple from being choked. And then all the other patrons in the restaurant came over and break up the fight, and they tried to calm down the situation. The two friends of Mr. Hu were trying to apologize for their friends being rude, and some of the other patrons even took money out of their own wallet and say, hey, it's okay, it's just $1, it's just like one more dollar each. We'll pay for these people. It's okay. We'll pay for them. It should have ended right there, but to everybody's shock and surprise, just as everybody's patting each other on the back, trying to calm the situation down. People are taking money out of their wallet to pay for these. There's three young men who obviously had a hard time affording things. The small guy, Mr. Hu, uh, seeing that everybody was distracted, ran behind Mr. Yao, went into the kitchen. Remember, when Mr. Yao came out to give them the bill, he left the his kitchen stuff all on the counter. The Mr. Hu went into the kitchen, grabbed the biggest knife that he could see, came back out, and cut Mr. Yao across the shoulder, right there in front of everybody. And Mr. Yao, feeling the pain, turned around and ran out the door because he knew. Here's a little survival knowledge, by the way. If someone's coming at you with a knife, running away is usually the best option. Okay, Mr. Yao knew that. And also running toward where there's a lot of people. So because there's a lot of witness, then it's less likely that the person with a knife is going to continue to attack you. Mr. Yao knew that as well. So he ran out the door, his shoulder bleeding, and he ran onto the busy street, Mr. Hu in hot pursuit. Right as they were getting out the restaurant door, Mr. Hu cut him again, this time on the back of his leg. So Mr. Yao finally got himself across the road, thinking that he's safe. There's a lot of people on the street, a lot of people watching, a lot of people calling the police. There's no way that this young man is going to continue to attack him. Plus, it was just a physical altercation. It was just over a couple of bucks. Why would this young man attack him? Why would he? But Mr. Yao was wrong. Okay? In front of all the bystanders and watchers, Mr. Hu caught up to him and started laying into him with his own knife, the knife that came from his own kitchen. Mr. Hu cut him at least 10 times, and before Mr. Yao fell down and was unable to fight back anymore. And even then, Mr. Hu did not stop. He aimed for Mr. Yao's neck and cut off his head in front of all the people watching. And then he grabbed the head, still bleeding, and threw it into the trash can nearby. And then he sat down on the curb, casually waiting for the police to show up. Oh, it's such a horrifying thing that happened, that even just talking about it still makes me feel all kind of bad inside, because something like this should not have happened. Not to a single dad who was doing his best, trying to earn a living, supporting his kids. So, what happened to Mr. Hu after the police showed up? He did not resist. He went with the police to the police station. And when they got him to the station, they found that he was a registered disabled person with severe mental disability. He was autistic and had a serious case of psychosis. When the police started looking into this young man's background, we started to see a picture of a seriously disturbed and rather sympathetic individual. Um, he was determined to be severely mentally challenged or mentally uh, sick from a young age, and legally he always have to have his legal guardian beside him, and the legal guardian was supposed to be his dad. However, back in 2015, when Mr. Hu and his father was out on a job together, his dad pissed him off. No one knows what happened, but his dad said something that triggered him, and he beat his father so bad that his father ended up spending 3 or 4 months in the hospital before recovery. Because of that, Mr. Hu was put in a psychiatric ward for 2 months before he was declared able to go home. In 2017, around Chinese New Year, he tried to borrow some money from his family members to put some money toward his cell phone bill. It wasn't a lot of money, it was like $70 or something. And when his family refused, he attacked his family members and then ran away from home, joining his two friends when he heard that they were going to go to Wuhan to look for a job. So the three of them traveled to Wuhan. The investigation further showed that prior to going into Mr. Yao's noodle shop, they already went to a nearby fried chicken store where Mr. Hu got into an argument with the owner at the fried chicken store because the owner refused to hire him. And he actually went as far as trying to borrow $200 from the fried chicken store owner. And when the owner refused, he pulled out a pocket knife and threatened the owner until security threw him out. And then they went to the noodle shop, and that's where the tragedy happened. Now, I don't want to spend this post talking about, like, should someone like this be punished, or is it not their fault, or all that stuff. That is not the goal of this video. For those of you who wondered what happened to Hu in the end, he was found guilty of manslaughter, and he was uh, put to death in, I believe, 2019, and his family was fined over $10,000 for failing to give him proper guardianship. Now, like I said, the reason I brought this up is for us to really look at this entire tragedy could have been avoided if Mr. Yao didn't stand there and argue with the three young men about just over a couple of bucks. Like I mentioned, we are talking about less than a quarter, less than 25 cents our money. Like, seriously, dude, it was not worth it. It wouldn't have been worth it no matter what kind of money we're talking about. Now, obviously, Mr. Yao had no idea that he was dealing with a dangerously mentally insane person. But isn't that the truth for all of us? Anytime we go outside, anytime we start arguing with someone that we don't know, heck, even with people that we know, we never know what kind of mental state the person is going through. We never know if we are arguing with a criminally insane person. It can be something so small like this, just a couple of cents worth of money, and then escalate into a physical altercation, and then just as you think, okay, it must be over with, the person escalated into murder out in public. Like I said, Mr. Yao knew all the right thing to do. He was physically strong. He knew to run away from the knife. He knew to run toward the crowd. But all that did not save him. So seriously, guys, if you have not watched that episode, please watch that episode. Uh, don't fight idiocy with idiocy. And always keep in mind that what you may think of as a casual argument may not turn out to be one because it's not always in our control where the other person choose to escalate the situation to. Okay, please be safe out there and have a good night.